And the next bill will be Representatives Carson Smith as well, Senate Bill 246, Property Owners Protection Act. Floor is yours to present the bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right now, second-degree trespass, there's two ways to be charged with it. Number one, the property owner asks you to leave and you don't leave, then you can be charged with second-degree trespass. Or if you enter a premise that is posted, no trespassing, you can be charged with it there. What this will do is take care of an issue that I think is a great idea. It came out of the Senate, but it was a great idea.
It happens every now and then.
Those folks that might just walk up and go property in the middle of the night, walk through your yard, walk around, look around. If they open something, of course, they violate the law. But right now, they can do that, and there's no charge. There's nothing that they can be charged with. This would make it a second-degree trespass if you are on the curtilage of another without authorization between midnight and 6 a.m. Those folks and the issues we're having with cars getting broken into and lawnmowers getting stolen and shops and sheds and all, or lean-tos, property being stolen from under there, I think it's a great idea to put something in the law that the law enforcement can use on the scene should they run into the situation to give them another tool to be able to charge them. So that's all this does is add that third way to be charged with second-degree trespass.
Thank you for that presentation. Any question or comments by any member of the committee? I'm just rip-roaring ready, Representative Jones. You're recognized.
This one I do have some questions about. First of all, I guess my first question is, where did this come from?
Are you able to answer? Yeah. Representative Smith, you're recognized.
I can partially answer it. A senator, and I don't know if anybody here knows exactly who it was, but a senator apparently spoke to Senator Britt, who actually ran the bill. It's something that happened in their area, so I don't know the particular event that spurred the bill. But I can tell you as an ex-sheriff that there are many times where something like this would have been great that actually spurred this on was from the Senate. I was asked about an hour ago to run this because Senator Britt couldn't be here at 12 o'clock, so I can't tell you the exact reason.
Okay.
All right. Follow up?
Yes, yes, I would like to follow up. Okay, so I know it's not your bill, but so if a person is on your curtilage at your house between midnight and 6 a.m., that's when they would have violated this statute. Fair enough?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Not really. I'm having some cognitive dissonance, but I'm not sure exactly where it's coming from. But no further questions.
Yes, sir. Any other questions or comments? Representative Alston, you're recognized.
Thank you. I think, and just to help me understand the scope, I guess with curtilage, it's been a long time since I was in law school. Is a bill like this, or this kind of criminal consequence for being on someone's curtilage, is this consistent with how we treat the curtilage kind of in the common law? This might be a question for staff. So it's like, are there other criminal penalties related to home ownership that could be triggered by someone being in the curtilage? I just want to know if this is an outlier in terms of how we treat curtilage or not.
Can anyone on staff answer that question?
Robert Ryan, Legislative Analysis.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
Sorry. I'm not aware of other offenses that have the term curtilage in there, but as you referenced to it, the term curtilage is used a lot of times in a Fourth Amendment type analysis. So there's a lot of case law defining what curtilage is and isn't, looking more in the Fourth Amendment search and seizure. So by using that term, we'd be relying on the common law as you referenced.
Follow up? Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
quickly, I don't mean to harp on this too much, but I guess I just want to know if you know, this is related to kind of property owners, and I think to your point, whether or not curtilage is part of someone's property has long been debated in the common law. And I just want to know, in our criminal code, it doesn't sound like there are other instances in our criminal code where being on someone's curtilage would violate the kind of nearby property owner's property rights. Does that make sense?
Is that a question or a comment?
It's kind of both. It's a question.
Okay.
Yeah. I just,
Can
I'm
you
just trying
respond to the
clarify
question
this.
slash comment?
That's all I got.
Sure. So nowhere else that I'm aware of in the Chapter 14 criminal penalties is curtilage described, but curtilage under the case law has to be actually attached to the property owner's property, because in the Fourth Amendment analysis, generally it's dealing with whether or not law enforcement can go onto the curtilage. So it has to be the property owner's actual property. And some of the definitions are generally curtilage is the area directly and intimately connected with a home and in proximity to it, and the area that harbors the intimate activity associated with the sanctity of a person's home and the privacies of life. That's kind of what the U.S. Supreme Court said about curtilage.
I believe Representative Smith would like to respond to that as well.
That's a great question. I'm not the attorney, but you know, whenever a law enforcement officer thinks about curtilages in the search warrant, how we do that. But in this case, it wasn't for anywhere on the person's property. It was specifically for the curtilage because we want it right around the area where your family's sleeping and all. And I think it is common law, but I think most law enforcement officers do a pretty good job of defining and charging, would be able to charge on what the curtilage was right around basically where you're sleeping at night.
Any other questions or comments? Representative Jones, you're recognized for another question.
Thank you. Now my thoughts are collected. Okay, so my question really is this. If someone, when you build a sidewalk, and people are going down the sidewalk and it's in front of your house, does this now ban someone sitting on the piece of the property that's between the walk and the curve, and the little part that drops over at between midnight and 6, so that now a person can be arrested for that? That's my question. Is that?
If I could, Representative Jones, as far as I know, whenever there's a sidewalk, it's not on somebody's private property. It's within the right-of-way, the public right-of-way.
Correct.
So I don't believe that would follow under the definition of a curtilage. But either staff or
I think I can.
Representative Smith can respond.
If I understand, you may be talking about like right off the public part and right on somebody's property?
Well, I'm talking about the part that drops over to the street. I assume that's public.
Yes, sir.
So it wouldn't forbid you sitting there at between 12 and.
If it's public, absolutely not.
Okay, that's why I was trying to
Okay.
clear my head.
Yes, sir.
I'm done. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Representative Potts, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you. I had a German Shepherd for 15 years named Barry, and he knew curtilage real well, and we didn't really have any problems out in my
We called a
neighborhood.
question.
I move for a favorable report to Senate Bill 246 with referral to rules, Mr. Chair.
That's the motion before us. Any discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Receive a favorable report. Thank you,
Thank
Representative
you.
Smith.
Thank you, members.